day, so I am warmed up and ready to go. I am going to put my name up here so that you can connect with me on Instagram. How many of you have ever come to a class that I've gotten to teach you in before? Yay, welcome back. Excited that you're here. We run into each other at Target all the time. So today I wanted to kind of have a little bit of a looser flow for the class. I love something with a theme, so I thought things that start with A. I don't know, it just came to me when I was driving here. I want to talk about algorithms because there's a lot changing in Instagram and Facebook, and so it's really going to impact your content. And personally, I feel that it is a massive opportunity. I'm sure many of you have been talking ad nauseum about the shifting market, right? Yes. Very rare to see anything like that on social media. And just like we're explaining to our clients that there are opportunities. It's not all bad news. The sky isn't falling, that sort of thing. It's change. What happens when we have change? People don't like change. It's going to be fine. Then I thought we would do a little bit of Ask Me Anything. So any question you have under the sun having to do with social media, I'll give you a challenge. I'm hoping you can stuff me. Like, think the hardest question you could possibly think of. I also thought I would offer this. Now, I've had some brave souls who have volunteered for a live audit. I don't know if anybody here would like for me to look at their social media, their Instagram, and give you a live audit with love and empowerment. I won't make you nervous, I promise. You'll love it. So if that's something you want to do, I would be happy to do that. I'm happy to do that for more than one person. And why I offer that is because teaching it is one thing, and then seeing it in action, sometimes you have that aha moment. You're like, oh, now I know what you're talking about. Okay, gotcha. So if that's helpful, I'm happy to do that. And then I'm assuming y'all want to learn how to make some awesome content too. So I'm going to give you some tips and strategies on that as well. So before we get started, let me just type up my name here on Instagram so that we can stay connected. That's the best place to connect with me, honestly. And how many of you are on Instagram using it on a regular basis? Regular basis? Okay. How many of you are using TikTok? How many of you are lurking on TikTok? The 2-hour rabbit hole? Let me put my name up here so you can connect with me if you are not. My last name is Peitz. It rhymes with lights. And you can find me on the gram. Now, the other thing that I'd recommend doing while this is booting back up is up there at the top. If you do want to take more time with Instagram, but you want to do it on your own time, or if you are taking notes, and I know you mentioned last time you got notes and then you needed to go and execute it and they weren't there, I have a whole bunch of videos. You can just click the link in my bio. It's free. It's a free Instagram course. Can't miss it. Click it. It will walk you through in depth how to optimize everything, where it goes, what buttons to push. I even have a helpful video that if somebody ever steals your photos and makes a fake account, has that ever happened to anyone in here? It happens to me every week. Wow. Literally every week there's somebody that is making a variation of my name with like 2 Z's instead of 1 Z at the end and like using my photos. There is only one way that you can actually get those deleted. It's a little bit of a process, but I talk about how to do it in there. I'm happy to share that if you guys are interested because it probably will happen to you because now it's rampant. Okay, so we've got everything in there. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's start with algorithms, okay? So I want to talk a little bit about what's changing in Instagram. And I took some notes because there's a lot of stuff that's going on. So who's my diehard, like you love Instagram? I love Instagram. I used to hate it. I used to hate Instagram, believe it or not. I was a big Snapchat, Facebook person. I hated Instagram. I just didn't get it. And the only reason I came over to Instagram is because they stole stories from Snapchat. They have a long history of stealing things and putting it into their own platform, like they've stolen TikTok and everything else under the sun. And So I started really focusing on Instagram stories, and that's where I got really comfortable on video. So how many of you are loving being on video every single day and watching yourself back? Yes, absolutely. Okay, we can talk about some content limiting beliefs, but the really important thing is that you do need to be on video. And really, truly, and you've heard me talk about this before, the pandemic is responsible for that accelerating, because in 2020, we all had to get on FaceTime. We all had to get on Zoom, Skype, anything in between, or we weren't seeing anyone. And so while it's not the same, there's a lot of things that we're all doing in a digital environment that we would never dream of doing in a physical one. And so I'm gonna write that down because I think that's really important to talk about, because once we talk about algorithms, then we gotta talk about like the actual content. So I'm gonna write, oh, I love this color. Digital versus physical. So that'll remind me to come back to that. Okay, here's what's going on. So the first word I want you to write down or type into your phone is recommendation. Recommendation. I also think you should write in relevancy. Recommendation and relevancy. So this is how the history of these computer systems worked. And if you've come to my classes before, I've talked about the algorithms. It's nothing fancy. It's just a computer software that's looking at your data points. It's looking at what you're watching, who you're talking to, and it's deciding on what you should see based on that stuff. So what we started with was basically watch time. How long is someone watching anything? Remember like 8 years ago when Facebook Live was a new thing and everybody was going live and you were like, go live for an hour. Can you imagine going live for an hour now? Or like watching a live video for an hour where people in the first 10 minutes are like, okay, now wait, we're just waiting for a few more people to come on. And you're like, nope, you got 10 seconds, right? So it was all watch time related. And of course, there's, all these ways to hack around that. So then it moved to, hey, let's talk about meaningful social interactions. They call them MSIs. That's the internal lingo at Facebook and Instagram. And what that was, as you've heard me talk about before, was who are you talking to? Commenting, direct messaging, still extremely powerful. You should always, always do that. So who are you talking to? Who are you sending a direct message to in Facebook Messenger, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above? But now we're seeing something brand new. I wouldn't say brand new. Brand new for Facebook and Instagram, not brand new for TikTok. So I know I've got all my TikTok lurkers here. And you've had the experience where you open it up and you're like, this is wild. Like, at first you're like, I don't even know what this is that I'm seeing. Why am I seeing this? And then all of a sudden you're like, I like what I'm seeing. I think this is interesting. How does it know, right? So they've really cracked the code on this recommendation algorithm. And so guess what? It's coming to all the platforms. So what does that mean? It means that in a world like Facebook, where you're used to seeing people that you know, because when you open up Facebook and you look at your feed, it's all your friends, right? Now you're going to start seeing people you don't follow. And you're like, wait a minute, this is weird. Who are these people? And it'll say suggested, or sometimes they've tested it. It'll say like, this is suggested because you like to post about blah, blah, blah. And so they change it all the time. That's already happening at Instagram and people are mad. People are like, wait a minute, I don't like this. I am missing content from people that I want to see. Or as a creator, my content isn't getting seen by the people I want it to be seen by, because let's face it, if they have more content and you still have the same amount of time, you're going to miss content from someone. The idea is that once this algorithm gets better at recommendations, because by their own words, it's not great yet. I read a stat today that people spend 17.6 million hours watching Reels. A lot. Okay, wait, that's not the whoa. 17.6 million hours a day, or million hours watching it. TikTok is 198 million. Whoa. So they haven't caught up, but they will, because they are competing with each other. So now you're going to start seeing content from people that you don't know who they are, which means your content is going out to people that don't know you. So how is that a pro for you? Well, for the first time ever, on a mature platform like Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, right, which we all think, oh man, I wish I would have started my YouTube channel 15 years ago. Now, we have the opportunity as average, everyday people, not with millions of followers, not that's an influencer, to actually get our content to get in front of many people that don't know us. And so it's really an awesome time to start getting consistent with whatever the micro video is of the moment. If you're on Facebook, it's Reels. If you're on Instagram, it's Reels. If you're on TikTok, it's TikTok. YouTube Shorts, because that's what they're pushing right now. For good or for bad, probably for bad, our attention spans are down to a couple of seconds, right? I don't love that, but that's how they're training us. So I'm not saying that gone are the days of your 20-minute video, but your 20-minute video is probably going to be watched on YouTube. It's not going to be watched on Instagram. It's not going to be watched on TikTok, depending on what it is. Now, maybe if you've really built a community and you're doing a lot of teaching on there and people are following you and they know that's your content, but if it's the one-off 5-minute, 10-minute, 20-minute, it has to be really compelling content. So you're going to start seeing content from people you don't know. Your content's going to go out to people that don't follow you. Now you have a chance for your content to get recommended to people that have no idea who you are. So what you're going to see is growth, as long as you're consistent. The other thing that you're going to see is a change in engagement. And this is how we relate this to the real estate example, where people are freaking out. And you're like, no. It's just a different market. It's not a terrible market. It's a different market. It's different because why? Who loves like TikTok? Just I won't say anything weird to you, but I'm curious. I want to know who watches TikTok daily. Okay, when you watch TikTok, are you stopping and leaving a comment for every single person, or are you kind of going like this?
No, it's very quick.
Yeah, passive. So what's going to happen is, as people, strangers, right? Because how many of you see something from a perfect stranger and dive into engagement? Rarely. Like, it would have to be something ultra compelling, like something moving or a super cute dog or something like that. If I don't know the person, I'm just going to quietly consume. So what's happening is people are like, oh my gosh, my content is horrible, there's no engagement anymore. I'm like, no. It's different. And it's different because people are connecting while they're consuming silently and they don't know you yet. But what happens is when I watch a video for 10 seconds longer than any other video I watched that day, that data point still goes up into the algorithm. And it says, hey, she likes to watch videos with cute dogs, which is true. And I get more cute dogs in my feed. Not only do I get more cute dogs in my feed, but I keep getting this one super cute dachshund over and over and over again. And it's the same account. And I'm like, I know this dog. And I still haven't followed. But you know what? I probably will. Because it's serving it to me. And it's also knowing that it's relevant content. What I love about that as a content creator is how many of you overthink about your content. You're like, oh, this is boring. Nobody cares about this. How am I going to make mortgages sound interesting? Right? So here's the thing about this type of recommendation. It's going to work smarter for you. Because if I never watch anything having to do with finance or my local city, and I only watch stuff on fitness, I'm not going to see your content anyway. But the people who are interested in that content will get served it, just like TikTok. So just post it all. Don't overthink it, just post it. Consistency might with asterisk, might be better than quality. Because also, too, you have to remember that with recommendations and this TikTok style of algorithm, it's not like you're seeing my content in order. It's not like you're seeing video 1, and then video 2, and then video 3, and so on. You're seeing video 25, video 1, you're just seeing all this random stuff. So now you can't really compare it from one to another. You might have noticed that a couple of years ago, if you had a post that did pretty well on Facebook or Instagram, you could kind of bet that the next couple were going to do okay. Doesn't work that way anymore. So again, sigh of relief, don't stress about your content. Just post it, because I will tell you the stuff that I have stressed about, and I've been like, this is the one. This is the one, oh my gosh, it's so good. And I'm like showing my husband, he's not impressed. I'm like, it's good, right? And then I post it, and then I'm like, well, that didn't do much. But I enjoyed it. It brought me joy. So, hey, that's still value. But the stuff that I just think, oh, this is kind of boring, or everybody knows this, I shouldn't even waste my time. I've talked about this 2 years ago. Why would I bring it up again? That's the one. That's the one that people want to engage with. That's the one that I didn't think twice of. I'm sitting in my car in a parking lot and I'm doing something, and that's the one everybody wants to talk about. So don't overthink it, just post it. Stay consistent. Where'd my phone go? Because I had some notes on it. So do I have it? Oh, here it is. It's right behind me. Yes.
Can I tell you my favorite post of yours?
Oh, no, please, yes.
The asparagus one.
The asparagus one, yeah. So, you know the Age of Aquarius song? Mm-hmm. I might have done Age of Asparagus. And I had like, again, you gotta do things that bring you joy. This has nothing to do with real estate or marketing, but I'm all about, if you're gonna make content and you're miserable, and you're always like, okay, I gotta do my 3 things about the market. Okay, let me do that, not super exciting. Do something that actually brings you some joy. And so you'll see that like probably every 10th video I do is just a fun one that I enjoyed, because I'm all about having some joy in your life. And yeah, so I did, I was holding asparagus, singing the Age of Asparagus with a fan blowing on me in the kitchen. So, so my content tip, get a fan. Okay, so also they're going to be looking at things that you're talking about in your direct messages. I know, creepy, weird, but that's how they're going to do it. So now you're going to be able to get in front of people and at frequency. Because remember I said that dog that's following me around everywhere? I will follow it at some point. I don't even have a dachshund. I have chihuahuas, but whatever. So we can't get in front of strangers multiple times unless you pay. Paying ads? Okay, well then maybe we'll put you in a few times. But historically, if people haven't like engaged with your stuff or like really like left you a comment or share or something like that, okay, you may not be seen again. But now you will. So it's kind of cool. The other thing is that you have a chance, like if you've noticed too in Instagram and Facebook, you post something and you've got maybe 24, 48 hours. And that's it, right? And then you're like, oh, I have to make another post. Well, this is great. It's more like YouTube, because I could make something 2 weeks ago or 2 months ago and someone will find it. Because again, relevancy, what are they looking for? If I happen to make a tip video 2 years ago, and now these algorithms are becoming search engines, and they're like, oh my God, I just found your content. I'm like, really? That was like something I made a year ago, but that's cool. It's awesome, because now it can wake up. It can revitalize. So don't delete anything. Don't say, oh, this video, oh my gosh, it got like 30 views, and the other one before it had 300, I'm gonna delete it. Nope, don't do that. You never know when it's gonna wake up. So that's something new too. We talked about watch time and quietly consuming. We talked about frequency. We also talked about the fact that engagement is changing, and I think I hit everything. Okay, perfect, I got it all. So that's mainly what it is. I'm calling it, other than recommendation, I'm calling it connection through content, not contacts. Because historically it's who we knew, who we followed, right? Now it's watching who you're sending that TikTok to. And it knows that my best friend, we communicate in Chihuahua memes. Like it knows that. So I'm seeing more of that. She sees more of that. So it's very interesting. It's a connection through the content, not necessarily who you're connected with. So you have a lot of opportunity. You just have to make the content and put it out there. All right, questions just on this algorithm piece stuff. Stuff you heard, questions, is this true? Anyone have anything?
Did you comment at all about, TikTok?
TikTok's algorithm?
Yeah.
Yeah, TikTok's algorithm is really the reason that all of these other platforms are wanting to basically rip off exactly what they're doing. because they have figured out how to take in, I have a friend of mine who works for, he doesn't work for Facebook, but he's a vendor for Facebook, and has, because he's a vendor, he's been able to get on the inside of TikTok as well. And he was telling me, and I don't want to get the number wrong, but like, let's say Facebook's looking at 500 data points of each user. TikTok's looking at something like 5,000. It's wild. So they have a lot more data, and they have a lot more content, because if you think about all the little short pieces of content they have, so they've been able to adjust this algorithm to where it feels like you don't even know what you want to see, and this thing's going to figure it out, which is kind of scary at the same time. So they're trying to make that happen in the other platforms to help, smaller creators get found more and seen more, and basically they want to turn it into a discovery, not kind of like a circle of like, how our CRM's just like, if I send an email, it's just going to go to the people in the CRM, right? I never have a chance really to get that message out to anyone new. So they're kind of switching it from that aspect into more of an open discovery-based system. But that's how TikTok is all discovery. That's why anyone can go viral. Not that going viral is the goal at all. But that's the major difference between TikTok and the other platforms, until they all morph into the same one. Yes.
So for TikTok, I've noticed they don't really care, to exactly what you're saying, they don't care about your location. Whereas Instagram, obviously, you normally would check into my home group's building.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're licensed in Arizona and we're now getting served information and content all over the state, but they're not really our clients, what do you recommend for realtors who are trying to at least stay within Arizona? Specifically.
I don't know if I would be able to compare Instagram's location to TikTok's location, but TikTok is taking location into consideration. And they're looking at things, as creepy as this sounds, like, oh, we recognize that Fry's, that's in Phoenix. So it's recognizing all the things that are in the content, words that you're saying, your hashtags you're using, your tags, your location tags.
Okay.
So when I travel, and you've probably seen this too, I will get local TikToks that have to do with the city that I'm traveling to. Like when I went to Europe, I got a ton of content that was from the city that I was, staying in. So it does monitor your location. I would for sure encourage you to always include location in Instagram, because they have just launched, I'm not even going to get the word right, it's some kind of map where they're supposed to be for brick and mortar types of stores, but the idea that they're starting to roll out a map tells me that they want to basically be Google, and they want to be Google reviews, and you know how you have the Google map and you have that little side thing? That's what they want to do. Because if you think about it, who's their major competitor? It's not each other. I mean, it is. It's TikTok and Instagram. Their major competitors are Google, a search engine, and our phones, because our phones can call people, text, and email. Now, we pay for that. You don't pay for that on social media. So their goal is to become the place where I go to search, I go to find content, I go to connect with my friends and family, and all of that. So really that's like who they're going after. And I just read a stat that TikTok has finally beat Google. Like, who knew? Like, people are going to TikTok now to search more than Google. Wild.
Wow.
Wild, right? Wild. I think did you have a question? Okay, yes.
How do you reconcile TikTok's potentially, I guess, questionable data mining and privacy?
I think they probably all. I think they probably
versus-
all have that. There's been so many breaches. There's been lawsuits with Meta. I guess Meta now.
Mhm.
I think that my personal opinion is I feel like if my content is out there, my data can be out there. So I would say if you're wanting to not be involved on any of them, I don't know that it's like one over the other. Maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist, I don't know, but I do feel that I've made a decision that there is a limit on my privacy, and I know that if I'm on one, it's probably, I could be on any website.
Right.
It could be LinkedIn, it could be non-social media related, because there's been so many data breaches of all the things. The one thing I do like is, I know in California they've been enacting, I can't remember the name of it, but like in Europe, there's like many laws that your data can't be scraped from websites, and you know, you have the right to turn off and on things, which that's great. I would also say for security purposes, because I know that this month is all about staying safe and being aware, you never have to post anything live.
Right.
So I certainly have like a bunch of stuff that I've done a long time ago. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say you're doing stories, and you know, you've probably seen people that are like, I'm here and this is where I'm at right now and I'm alone, and you know, stuff like that. So you don't have to post it in real time. You can save it. And there's some really, you know, it's funny because ironic, there's some amazing cybersecurity people I follow on TikTok and Instagram. And so it's funny because I'm like, well, that's ironic because we're talking about these tools, but like, where am I getting that information? Yeah, so I don't know. I think they probably all have a long way to go with security, unfortunately.
TikTok is also owned by the Chinese.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Big
that too.
difference.
Yeah,
That's a
so
worry.
Having a phone as opposed to an iPad is a big difference.
yeah, so it's going to be really interesting to see what transpires over the next, you know, few months and years. Yeah, I'm waiting to see what happens. So, welcome. Okay.
I had a question.
Yeah.
Just in regards to location,
Mhm.
I struggle with this, of course. How specific should you be? Like, should I just Arizona, or should I be specific to where I'm at?
I would do city because the way that I think about it is in terms, I'm always thinking of what would I search for if it were me? Because sometimes it's really hard because we're thinking about content and we're thinking in content terms, but then we stop thinking about how we would look for stuff because we're trying to fit into that box. So if I were looking for stuff, I would probably look by city. Like if I was going somewhere, or if I lived in a city, or if I was thinking about moving, I probably, knowing myself, would look for the city versus the state. So I'm thinking, you know, well, if I'm looking for the city, probably other people might be looking for the city as well. And then also, you know, I see a lot of people, like I have a lot of Pacific Northwesters, and I'm like, listen, love that you're putting PDX in there. I get it because I used to live in Portland, but there's a lot of people that don't know what PDX is, which is, you know, the short code for Portland. So you have to be thinking of that for, you know, some of the searchability. So just think about what you would look for, and there's no right or wrong. It honestly knows where you're at. So
I guess because I'm saying, like, if you try a new restaurant or something, you want to do a reel on it and you want to share that. Should
I would
you
do
still
the
do
city,
city,
for
not
sure.
the restaurant itself? Be the city?
You could tag the location of the restaurant. That's perfectly fine. I would recommend tagging their account. Hopefully they have an account, because then they can share it. So you can tag someone's account, and you can also tag like the pizza restaurant location. So I would do the city of Scottsdale as the location, and then I would tag the business's Instagram account, because then they'll get a notification, and then hopefully they'll share it. So that's what I would do in that situation. Yes.
With TikTok, do you think that realtors sell more or less by using that, or?
So I have a lot of friends of mine that get 100% of their business from TikTok. So there's a lot of, you know, I do a lot of work around, you know, stories that we tell ourselves, and it's funny because when I was on Snapchat, I remember so many people saying to me, "Why are you on that thing? Like, there's just kids there, and like, it disappears. Like, you'll never build a brand. I don't understand what kind of content you're making that you want people not to see." So it's always like the new, right? And all these platforms usually start at, you know, a younger demographic and go up to. But yeah, so I have a friend, Glenda Baker, and she would not be upset at me for sharing this because she shares it on her podcast. She just turned 55, and she started TikTok 2 years ago, and she has, I don't know, 100 million views or more, and she gets 100% of her business from TikTok. she's now starting her own TV show from that.
Wow.
Stars and stripes.
Oh my stars. Oh my stars, yes. And then I have another friend, Amy, and you know, same thing. She started TikTok 2 years ago, gets 100% of her business from it. So any tool works. Mail, door knocking, open houses, TikTok, it all works. Whatever you decide to focus on expands. So it would be something that, you know, you're not going to throw one TikTok up and then, you know, have business. They're really committed to.
That's what I came to learn today.
You know, I keep saying I've been to the gym once. Why can I not have a bottle of wine every night? I have one time. I know, right? That's probably actually a really good segue to digital versus physical. So let's talk a little bit about that, because it doesn't matter what platform you're on. This is going to be important. So time after time after time after time, I have people that I will be consulting with and coaching with, and they're like, I'm just like frustrated. Like, I'm doing what you're telling me to do. Like, I'm making videos. Like, I'm posting stuff. I've got my Canva Pro account. Like, what the heck is the problem? And so we look at, you know, which, you know, if you want to do audits, we can do that too. And I look at it and I say, the number one reason that you're frustrated with social media is because we still have a mindset that there is a massive difference between real life and online. Offline, digital, physical. And I don't use the word real life anymore because, I mean, like many of you, I've been on Zooms for 3 years. But honestly, I've also haven't seen my parents since the pandemic started. And I don't know when I'll see them. And so when I tell my parents I love you and I miss you because it's through a screen, that's not any less real. So we have to get out of this mindset that we are human beings and we have these tools that happen to be digital, but we're still a human and there's another human on the other side. So let's give an example. Things we're doing in a digital world that we wouldn't do in a physical one. This one's my favorite. I hate looking at myself on video. I'm not cut out for video. Not for me. It's great for everyone else, just not for me. I can't stand my voice. Nope. I'm not going to do it, right? So I just want to let you know that if that's how you feel, you're 100% normal and human, because it is a scientific fact that our brain loves seeing other people's faces on screen and hates seeing our own. Like, it's an actual true scientific fact. And yes, you are hearing something different. Your acoustics in your brain are different than they are when it's recorded. So you're not imagining things, but what do we do about it, right? So think about, what would I do in the physical? So if I'm at a listing appointment and I'm meeting a client and they're like, well, I just want to know, like, with this market, do you think you can sell this house? And then all of a sudden you're like, you're doing your notebook out and you're like frantically writing down and you're like silently sliding it across the table, and it's like, listen, my voice is pretty cringeworthy. I get it. I'm not going to talk, but we can write back and forth. Or what if you're like diving under the table and they're like, are you okay? They're like, no, I just can't have people watching while I talk. I can't do that. Or if we were like at a meeting, right, and we're at a table and you guys turn your chairs away from me when I'm talking, I don't think that's rude, right?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between showing up and looking at me online, right? Another one that I get all the time is, this is great. Totally love that I've got to make content. I can share my story at scale. It can work for me when I'm sleeping. But who do you know that I can hire to just outsource the whole thing? And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about digital versus physical. So what if on Friday, for my kid's first baseball game, I ask my neighbor to go? And my kid's like out there, he looks and he's like, hey, that's our neighbor, where's mom? You can't outsource this, right? Like, this is who people are going to be connected with. So yes, there's a lot of things you can delegate, a lot of things you can outsource. But we're doing a whole bunch of stuff online that we would be horrified to do in person. Like, no like bad news about Canva. I love Canva. But like, when we see a stock photo and a logo, I can't connect with that. That's like going to a conference and literally throwing your business cards in someone's face and being like, okay, bye, and like running home, and then you're like, Well, how did it go? Well, I threw my business cards in their face and like nothing happened. Did you give them the ones with the nice graphics? Yeah. And you're like, okay, but we wouldn't do that. Or like this one where it's like, I just don't know what to say. Okay, well, let's talk about physical. You're at Target and someone's like, hi, can I help you find anything? And you're like, hold on, I'm looking for my script, just 1 second. No, I'm just looking. Right? We know how to talk to humans. You know what to say. You just think, oh my gosh, I'm looking into this device. What would you say to a human who asked you a question? So I want you to think about those things because that's probably why you're not having the results that you want. And then people always say, well, now I'm a private person. Totally cool. Difference between personal and private content. Personal content could be you delivering a market update, which, by the way, none of our real estate content is unique. Literally none of it. So how do you have one shot of making it unique? You've got to be in it. Because the only content that's unique is your story, your voice, your lived experience, your advice, your input, right? We could all go see the same movie tonight and all have different opinions. So that's the part that humanizes it. That's the part where my brain sees a face in the feed and you're like, oh, that's a face. Oh, stock photo, stock photo, stock photo, stock photo, ad, face. We can't help it. So you've got to be in the content, whether you like it or not. And thanks to 2020, we all now expect to see your face. I expect to be able to stalk every moment of the day to look at you. I want your content to sell for you. Because you know what happens? Someone comes in and says, oh my God, I feel like I already know you. I'm like, yeah, you do. So how about when you sit down in front of a client, they're like, oh no, we already know we're going with you. We've watched all your videos. And you're like, you have? I don't think I've ever seen you comment. Oh no, we haven't, but we've watched all of them. I love the one with you and your dog. And you're like, oh. So people are connecting while they are consuming. Okay, so we talked about algorithms. We've been doing a little bit of Ask Me Anything while we're going through here. Do we have any brave souls that would like to do a live audit on their Instagram profile? Don't worry, I'm not going to pick anyone. I'm just going to wait for you.
You can look at mine. It's not, I don't do enough on it. So.
Listen, no apologies. Oh, one other thing that I want to share with you, because I coach a lot of people on video, stop apologizing. Stop apologizing for sitting in your living room on your Zoom and the dog walking through. Stop apologizing because you didn't do well on your video. You guys, humans, right? Imperfect humans. Imperfect humans. And we want to work with humans, right? Not robots. People are like, oh, but I know it's not very professional. I go, oh, what's not professional about being human? Because I want to work with somebody who's honest, has integrity, compassion, empathy, all uniquely human. Your logo with the stock photo has no human qualities. So this idea that we have to show up and be a robot, that's why it's not connecting. Okay, let me go on to Instagram here. I'm going to pick you first because I know you said you wanted help and you wanted to update it, right? Can you tell me what your...
Craig Harlan, AZ Realtor.
And it's just like this.
H-A-R-L-A-N-D.
And it's
AZ Realtor.
Okay, I like it. You've already optimized. Good, good, good. Okay, I'm going to write this down so we can all look at it together. Okay. Let's go to Instagram. Okay. There we go. Let's give Craig a little round of applause for being vulnerable. All right, so Craig, what I love is that I can tell that these are all real pictures. I love that. Real content. Okay, first thing we're gonna do when we are landing here, and this is more important than ever because remember now your content's going out to strangers. So when strangers are interested, they're gonna come to your profile and they have one shot to decide if they're gonna follow you. And if they don't follow you, well, you're gonna have a couple more shots hopefully that they'll come back, which hasn't happened before. But we want people to follow us on this first shot. So I'm going to highlight this up here. See where that blue is? That's called your username. Some people call it your handle. It's like the @ right? That field, and then this one underneath it, this bolded field right here, when you're on your phone, it's actually going to show underneath your profile picture. Those two fields are the only searchable fields of your entire profile. That's it. So you need to think about what words you are putting in either of these areas. So I want you to think of your profile like a website, because we all know what a website is at a basic level. You go to Google, you type some words in, Google reads the internet, and it says, hey, this website has the same words that you just were looking for. Perfect, let's match it up and here you go. That's how Instagram works, and it's more important than ever because they're trying to become a search engine. So this username up here, this top part up here, right here, and then underneath those two fields, super important. So what do you want in those areas? Well, you certainly want your personal brand, first and last name, because if it says something like Jeep Lover 88, I'll never find you if I'm looking for you by name, right? So we need to have first and last name. So Craig, you have first and last name. Great job. Now, you have also AZ and then real estate, okay? So we've got first and last name checked off here. That's what everybody should have is first and last name. The second thing you should have is some kind of location, because we're very tied to location. I don't have any location in mind because I'm not location specific. I have words like social media, real estate, marketing, video, because that's what I want to be found for. You want to be found for whatever city, so let's just pretend it's Scottsdale. You want Scottsdale in either of those. I might recommend, not that this is wrong, I might recommend that you put Scottsdale in this line. It would be great, I don't know if you can get it, but if you could do Craig Harlan, just first and last name, which it might be taken, that would be ideal in the username, and then drop down below, I would have Craig. You always want your first name in that name field. Why? Because that's the field people see when you send them a direct message. Humanity, connection. We don't want it to be a bunch of like keywords. We want it to have your name in it. So ultimately, in a perfect world, Craig, I would do Craig Harlan as the username. I would drop down here, I would do Craig, and then I would do Scottsdale Real Estate or something like that, or whatever city you want to do. Now, I said the word real estate. You can do realtor. If you do realtor, same rules apply, you know, all caps. And believe it or not, did you know that there is an emoji for the little C? Yeah.
Is it all caps?
Yes.
You have to do all
You have to do all caps,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, and there's like some variations we don't, but in your Instagram you do. Because it's a trademark copywritten word. Yeah, it's considered a word mark. So name, location, industry related term. Questions on that? Because I always get questions on these two areas now. We'll
So
look at
you
someone
said
else's.
when we're sending messages back and forth, it's the Craig Harlan that would show up.
Yeah, this
right?
one that's
Whatever's
highlighted
there.
right now.
Okay.
When you're sending messages, that's the line that shows up in your inbox, and you can go and look at your inbox. It's also, if you ever look at your story views, that's what's gonna show. Now the weird thing is when you make a comment, like on someone's public post, it'll actually show this one up there. So I know that's a lot of detail, but essentially most people are spending time in their inbox. And we want people to connect, name, human, this is a person. You probably follow brands and you've probably seen like logos, and truly, if you notice now, you probably scroll past a lot of it because we can't create a connection with a logo. So we kind of just are like, and like half the time these people talk to me and I'm like, I don't even know this person's name. Because it's a logo and it says like the company name. So, okay, so 3 things you want to have in those areas, okay?
Chelsea,
Yeah.
if Craig wants to after taking this class and take your advice and update or edit his name, if it isn't already taken, or he wants to make it now up here, is that gonna be an issue with the folks that are already following?
No, it'll change everything. It's almost like getting a new hair color at the salon. Same hair, new shade. Okay, so now Craig, let's talk about your picture. Is that the Dell?
What's that?
Is that the Dell?
Yeah.
Oh, love it. Okay, so love this picture. It's gonna get really tiny. Okay, so what I would recommend is that Craig, it's you and it's mainly your face, so that we can connect the human to the name to the face, right? And then you've got your bio section here. And so right now in your bio, you have a lot of opportunity to kind of talk about what you do, where you do it. And my favorite way to write a bio, there's no rules. Actually, I should take that back. There's two things I don't want you to do in your bio, which I'll tell you. But what I'd love to see in a bio is a bio that's not just about you. Because remember, people coming here don't know you. Once I follow you, I'm not coming back. I'm waiting for your content to follow my feed. So if I don't know you yet, I kind of want to know what you're going to do for me. How are you going to help me? So I personally love a bio, and I'll show you some examples that say, hey, here's how I help you. Specifically, like here's what my superpower is in real estate. Here's my niche. And like here's how it's going to help you. It's going to help you invest more, whatever it is, right? So then one thing, and I just did a reel about this, is I see a lot of bios that are missing something really important. It's missing what's called a call to action. A call to action is a marketing term for a phrase or a sentence that tells people what to do next. So I'll show you mine in a second, and it says, hey, start your free Instagram course right here. It's specifically telling people what to do and why. You've got a link in there. Why should I click on Craig's link? Why? What's in it for me? Yeah, right? But my assumption is, oh, it's probably just his website about him. And that's just because it's got your name on it. But I don't know, you could have free home valuations. You could have a guide I could download. You could have an app. So I don't know what's in it. And honestly, you have to tell people exactly what to do. So we'll put a call to action in there. And then you have gotten started with your content. So great job there. Now, I'm going to look at these first 9 because when I'm on my mobile device, this is what you see when you pull up someone's profile. You see the first 9 squares. Now, luckily we've got this one because if I was going to meet you today and I didn't know you, would I know who I was meeting, right? So our brain needs to verify this is human. And it's funny how our brain works. It's taking mental shortcuts all day long. And it's funny because now you have more data point. Like if I went here and it was all Craig, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is Craig. This is him. Probably knows what he's doing. Wild assumption, right? But like, I'll show you my friend, Giselle. This is my friend and my business partner. Oops. Okay, so here's Giselle. She's in everyone, right? It also tells you, I mean, what kind of vibe do you get, right? She looks like she knows what she's talking about. She's an authority. What is this? Make money from tools you're using. New business owners. You need this type of accountability. So within seconds, many of you probably don't even know who this person is. You don't follow her. They're like, oh, this is somebody who knows what they're talking about. She's a great follow, by the way. Let me pull up her name so you can follow her. And what I love about Giselle's name field is she has a very unique last name. And she's phonetically telling you how to say it. Because one of the things that she's run into is that people don't know how to pronounce her name. And so I love that she even has it like out here and says what it is. So she's decided to use it in a different way. None of that is searchable, but she just wants to be found for her first and last name. So there isn't one way to do it. What I'd recommend you don't have in your bio, contact information. Because there is a button that you can set up. And we are lazy. I am watching the reunion of Real Housewives at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I'm not gonna get out a pen and paper and write down your email that you put in here. It's not clickable, right? Your phone number is not clickable. And probably I'm just gonna send you a DM anyway. So that, it kind of gets to be wasted space. Also, hashtags. Do not put hashtags in your actual bio. It does not work to help you get found at all. And then what happens is if I go, let's just pretend she has hashtag real estate in there. It will be like highlighted. It'll be, I can click on it. And if I click on it, I leave her profile. And it shows me millions of other posts. Okay? Let me go to mine here, and then I'll give you a couple of other tips over here. Okay. So here's mine. You can see that I've got my name there. You see how I have video marketing, bless you, social media for real estate. I got a lot of keywords in there. So that's how I'm using that section. I'm not location specific, so that's how I'm using it. Now, my bio section, it says, what are you going to do? You're going to build trust, and you're going to win clients through relatable content. I'm very specific. That word relatable is on purpose. I want people to know that we're going to make human content that people can relate to. Grow your business with heart and humanity, not hustle or hacks. If you're looking for hustle and hacks, I actually know all the hacks, but that's not long-term sustainable, and we're not going to learn that way. So now I've attracted the people I want, and I have repelled the people. Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to ask her about hacks. She's not into hustle culture, working all the time. Nope. Yeah, I'm into mental health, boundaries, and balance. Right? And then it says start free IG course. And then you know to click that link. So that's the call to action, start free IG course. I didn't put a button in, I literally am manually typing in that call to action. It could be learn more, download home seller's guide, home buyer's guide, find out your home value, how much is my house worth. It could be a whole variety of different things, but you need to tell people, click this link and here's why, or DM me and here's why. So before I had a landing page, I had people direct message me. Why did I care about that? Well, I cared about it because if you get someone to land on your profile and then DM you, the algorithm's like, oh, this person really wants to talk to this person. Let's make sure all of their content goes to the top of their feed. And if you do want to do paid stuff on social, you can retarget every person who's ever DM'd your account. So there's a lot of possibilities in there. You can also pin posts. I don't know if you guys knew that. It's a little bit hard to see. This one's probably the easiest one to see. See that little white pin? This is another strategy. You can pin 3 posts to the top of your page. So some people like to make a video that says start here. Here's what I'm all about. Here's what you need to know, what it's like to work with me. And then they'll literally put it up there and it'll say start here, or who am I? So you could do something like that. I decided to pick 2 different styles of videos, and then I have a non-video, because some people like to not watch videos. And there's a lot of good content in there. So you can see that I'm talking about branding, content, big mistakes that you're making. I'm also in all of my content. Because now people are like, oh, okay, yeah, this is the one, this must be the person that, teaches about content and social media. Great, got it. So it doesn't have to look a certain way, it doesn't have to be aesthetic, it doesn't have to be the same, color scheme. Again, nobody's gonna see this. First time. Once they follow you, yeah, that's it. Questions on any of this? Yes.
So you said that if somebody's, if you're messaging with someone, they're gonna see my name, title, whatever.
Yeah, they'll see right where mine says Chelsea Video Marketing.
So I messaged her, and for her, it showed up with my username, not
Is
my.
it in the inbox? Did you click on it and open it, or is it actually just showing up in the inbox in a list?
It's in the inbox, right? Yeah, it's in
It
the
also
inbox.
might depend on what kind of account
I was
you
gonna
have.
ask that, if it
What
depended
kind
on
of-
that.
do you know
I think
what
I have a
kind of
creator. I think I have a creator.
Yeah, mine's creator. If you have a professional account, that should show up. So the only reason I ask is because some of you may or may not know what kind of account you have, and you may have a personal account. And if you have a personal account, that's like the default. That's like what everybody gets when they sign up for Instagram. And it's missing a lot of the bells and whistles that you're gonna want to generate business and get more growth on Instagram.
So it has to be creative?
No, you should. It should be business or creator. But do you think you have a personal
I
account?
do.
Okay.
Because
I-
when I had it as a business
I have a
account,
slide because sometimes this is hard to describe. So let me pull up a visual for you. But yes, go ahead and tell us your story.
because when I had it as a business account, when I wanted to put music, it wouldn't let me.
Oh, I have a workaround for you.
Oh, okay.
A workaround for you. Let me pull this up for you. So the question is business or creator. That comes up all the time. They do the same thing for our intents and purposes, unless you have like an e-commerce store or something like that. But for us and what we do, they do the same thing. Now, the reason that people were like, okay, I need a business account is because you might have paid a third-party platform like Plan, Later, Planoly, something, where you're scheduling out your Instagram posts and you're paying for like an app to do that for you. That's all coming inside now. Instagram, you'll be able to schedule stuff. I don't know when that's rolling out, but it is. So what happened is Instagram made everyone who was using a plugin to a third-party website to schedule on Instagram, they had to use a business account. That was a requirement. Other than that, if you're not using a third-party scheduling thing, switch over to Creator. But if there is anyone in the room who has to stay a business for whatever reason you want, the workaround to get music is you have to change your category from real estate to entrepreneur.
Oh.
Weird, right? I'll show you what that looks like because I know that's kind of hard to visualize. Yeah.
What's the difference between professional and creator as far as?
So professional is the parent category, and inside of professional is creator and business. Yeah. Instagram does not do a good job of explaining these things. They just, use these words all over the place. Okay, so if you all want to switch your account, I wouldn't recommend doing it right now, but take a picture so you know where to go. So to switch over to either from a business to a creator, or if you have a personal and you want to switch it over, nothing happens. Your account does not blow up. Nobody unfollows you. Nothing happens. It's just turning on a switch in the back end. Yes.
It is, if you do link it to your business suite on Facebook.
Yes,
And you switch it, you lose everything.
I hate Business Suite for that reason.
Lose
Yes.
everything.
Business
You lose
Suite
all
is like
your
the free tool that Facebook gives you. I should say Meta. I keep saying Facebook. That Meta gives you so that you can like do your schedule. It's horrible. I hate it. I refuse to use it. It's glitchy and awful, and stuff like that happens. Yes. So thank you for that reminder. Also, I would say Creator Studio. I don't know if you use that, but that's glitchy too. That's why I still do everything manually, like on the app. Okay, so you're gonna click on the menu, go to settings, go to account, and then when you click on account, this is an important one. See where it's like you'll scroll to the bottom. See one says switch. Okay, we don't want to add. We just want to switch. Okay, we don't want to add, we just want to switch. So write the word switch down. And you know what, for some reason, if you change your mind and you're like, forget it, I want to go back to a business, great, just go back and switch. There's no like, you can switch 1,000,000 times a day if you want. I have test accounts and I've done that and nothing happened. So you can go back and forth. If you do have things that are connected, sometimes it gets wonky. Or it'll go to a different place. Like if you have a business Instagram and you want the auto sharing from Instagram stories over to Facebook stories, it goes to your Facebook business page, not your Facebook personal. So there's like little things like that and nuances, but generally nothing bad happens. Like it's not like, oh my gosh, this is gonna like ruin my account. So what else was I gonna show you? I was gonna show you, we were talking about it, and I was gonna show you.
Just, the music.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
working on the
thank you.
music,
Thank you. I was like, I know there's something here. Okay. So when you've got your profile here, if you want to stay a business, you can click edit profile and then you bring it over here, okay? This right here, category, it probably says real estate because you probably set it up as real estate at some point. If you click on this, it brings up, like you can type in speaker, coach, whatever you want, right? You can type that in. I think there's also a drop down. And if you select entrepreneur, you'll get the music.
Okay. That's if you have a business page.
That's if you have a business. On creator, you should just automatically have it. Do I know a few, I call them unicorn accounts, where they just don't have it? Yes. I also know people that have multiple Instagram accounts, and on one, they'll have access to everything, and then on their other one, they don't. I don't know. I don't know why it does that. So thank you for the reminder on that. Okay. So we did the audits. I think it's now time for a little bit of Ask Me Anything. I'll just make sure that I covered everything on our list.
So once we switch it to creator,
Yeah.
will it go, you know, when you, like when I do a picture, because I really don't do videos, I link it to my Facebook, so it shows, so once I switch it to creator, it's not gonna.
It should still, there's still different options. So it's going to sound a little confusing, but like on stories, you can have a separate option where if you want those to auto post over to Facebook, you can do that. Then you've got your feed, and you can have different options in there. And every time you're posting, you're going to see, even if it's connected or not, share to Facebook. And so yes, technically business goes to business and creator goes to personal. And I'm assuming you probably want it on the personal because that's where the most engagement happens. The business page is a little bit less engagement. Also for reels, it will say, would you like this reel to be allowed on Facebook? I can't remember the word that it says, which Facebook is horrendous at the reels situation. I don't even know where mine go. I can't find mine. I have no idea where they end up, which is par for the course for them. So you'll be able to, even if you don't have them automatically connected on everything, every time you make a post, except for stories, it should say, would you also like to post to Facebook? I personally, again, I don't know if it's just my weird account, I tried it and I can't do it because it would only post some of them. And it wouldn't post all of them. And I'm like, what is going on? And it would like unhook it, hook it back up, unplug it, plug it back in, and like nothing happens. So I gave up and I do everything manually. Okay, I remember what we were going to talk about. I said awesome content, which means I wanted to give you some tips on formatting your content, okay, especially for Reels and TikToks. Okay. There we go. So really, really important that as we're doing more videos, it's super important to grab people's attention in the first couple of seconds. Because you know, as a consumer, you're scrolling like this and something's got to catch you. So if it's like, hi, I'm Chelsea, and today we're going to talk about 123 Elm Street. I lost you at High. You're like, whoop. So it's really important now more than ever that we have to think about the language that we're using in that first few seconds, which is essentially called the hook of that video. And once you start noticing this, you can't unsee it. And so now if you start like looking for this in TikTok and Reels, you'll be like, oh, there you go, that one got me, yep, I see what they're doing. So one thing that we need to do is switch up our language because we're used to saying I language, I am, this is what I'm doing. One of the ways that you can subtly invite people's attention and also their participation into your content is by switching it to the word you. So I might say, how many of you are struggling with creating content? I said, how many of you, or when I'm talking to you, so every time I do a video, almost every single time, I'm using the word you, and it's in the first sentence. Have you ever felt? Do you ever blah, blah, blah? do you want to know what $1 million gets you in? Right? So that's a very, very simple but effective way. So always try to come with a you. And then let's talk about the hook. The easiest hook is asking a question. Do I ask a question every single time I make a video? No. Most of the time I do. Because when our brain hears a question and they hear someone addressing you, our brain's like, oh, like we can't like not think about responding. We don't always sometimes, but it stops the brain. So the easiest hook is a question. Do you want to know? Have you ever? I'm going to give you some examples in just a second. Again, I'm aging myself, but does anyone remember like car rides before y'all had like phones and iPads and you had like a pencil and a piece of paper? So Mad Libs, right? This was like a template, and I was like, it didn't matter what you put in there as long as you followed the template, and you know it worked out. That's what I want you to think about when you're thinking about your template for your introduction sentence. It's all just a template. And I'm going to give you some examples right now, but you could literally Google hooks, viral hooks, effective hooks. There's 1,000,001 copywriters who've made $1 million for companies with these simple hooks. And what's interesting is you can apply it to literally anything. So let me open this one, okay? So this is my Mad Lib. The blue stuff, that's where you get to fill in, okay? So like, let's do an example. Now, not all of these have you in it. Not all of them are questions. Here's why blank almost always make money when they blank. Here's why savvy investors almost always make money when they buy multifamily buildings. You could literally change out any of that. Don't let this be you, or trust me, you don't want to make this mistake. I just did a video like that. You're making this huge mistake and you don't even know it, right? People are like, I am, right? If someone had told me this blank years ago, I would have saved much more money, right? 3 things I wish I knew before I bought my first Airbnb, before I bought my first high-rise whatever. The worst thing you can do before or after, do these 2 things before or after if you want to avoid making a potentially huge financial mistake. For me, it's not going to be a financial mistake. For me, it's going to be a branding mistake, right? If I was a baker, it would be a mistake that has to do with, you know, the cake that I'm making. The baking mistake. You're really not going to like what I'm about to tell you about how the value of your countertops you put in 5 years ago isn't worth the same. Whatever it is, right? You can also address your ideal customer. And I said the other day, I said, this is for all of my camera shy people. If that's not you, keep scrolling. Or I address realtors directly, and I say, if you're a realtor who wants to get found more often on Instagram, you need to do these 3 things. So with a little bit of practice, you will be able to improve that hook. And if you can get somebody to watch for 3, 5, 7 seconds, they're probably going to watch half of it at least. So that is definitely something that I work on. It does not come easy to me. I look at some of these people that are just brilliant copywriters and I feel like, wow, that's amazing that you can just think of all those ideas. But I will tell you that you can literally go online and you can Google hooks. And it might seem strange at first because they're going to give you an example that has nothing to do with real estate. You're like, wait, how can I swap out these words and put it in real estate terms, okay? And then lastly, you want to have that call to action. So we talked about this a little bit in the bio. The call to action is telling people what to do next, but a lot of people get freaked out by the calls to action. They're like, I don't want to be that person that's like, contact me now. That is a call to action, but we also forget that a call to action is purely a question. Do you agree? What do you think? You could be reading an article about the market, and you're not the one who wrote it. You might be talking about it, you might say, what do you think? Do you agree or disagree? Let me know. Let me know your thoughts. Maybe you're asking, what color should I paint my kitchen? This one or that one? So asking a question and telling people how they can help, we all want to help people and we all have an opinion. And when you ask somebody for their opinion, they will deliver, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many people have an opinion about the type of peanut butter that I'm using. And I'm like, okay, wow, I didn't ask, but okay, cool, thanks. But like, even if it's like slightly controversial, like I remember I almost broke the internet when I told people that I had never had a double stuffed Oreo and that I like ate it and I didn't like twist it off. And I also told people that I love candy corn. Okay, sue me. And I'm like, see, that's the thing, is that people have an opinion. It doesn't have to be like a heavy opinion. But like when you invite people to help you and ask for advice, that's why if you've ever made a post online where you're like, hey, I'm going here and I need some recommendations, and it's like, phew, we want to help each other. We want to connect. So the more that you can invite someone to connect, thanks for coming, you will get more engagement. But you've got to give engagement to get it, because the people that you support are going to turn around and support your content. A lot of people are like, oh, my engagement's down. Well, how are you spending time engaging people? Not really. Well, there we go. What would we do in the digital? What would we do in the physical, right? So yeah. So that's what I got for you guys today. I've got about 10 more minutes if anybody wants to stay around and ask questions.
I have a question. Yeah. So I feel like we waste a lot of time jumping to different platforms.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll grab like a piece of content and we'll be like, great, that's an Instagram post, that's a reel, that's a Facebook story, that's a Facebook business page, that's personal Facebook, that's a blog. And I feel like it wastes a lot of our time.
Yeah.
So do you have like an assembly line that you recommend, or where is the best place to spend your time? And sometimes it works to our disadvantage because we're like, we don't have to do videos, we can write a blog.
Yeah.
But then you're like, no one cares about your blog, do a video. So I'm just trying to like, in order, if we could just focus on like, if you would like, what's the best platform to kind of stay in?
So again, I'm going to take it out of social media. And I'm going to say, what would you do if, because you're a parent, what would you do if your kiddo said, I want to learn how to play baseball? And I'm overwhelmed because I don't know like what the rules are. I don't know how to hold a bat. And you'd be like, okay, well, let's pick one thing and we're going to learn this first.
Right.
And so it's the same concept. I am not in all the places. I'm on Instagram the most. I have an account that's optimized on all the other places. But I also am super realistic and know that if I focus on one account for me personally, and I don't have a team, and that's where I can build my funnel, and then occasionally I'm on the other platforms, then that's what I'm going to do. So for me, I control what are the measures I can control. I can't control if people like my content, truly. I can't control if they leave me a comment. I can control how often I post a week. I can control, am I showing warmth in this video? Did I say unless? Like those are things that I can control, and also who am I talking to? So I would say definitely not all the things, because it can be very overwhelming. But just like the baseball example, once you know how to play and you've played a few seasons and you're like, oh yeah, no, I got this and I can add this in here. And so that's when I would do that. And certainly if you have, someone, which I don't, but if you do have someone, then that would be something where they could then take that piece of content. What I personally like to do, because I don't like to come up with new content ideas, is I will take one idea and then maybe it's a podcast. Then maybe I've got the blog post, and then maybe I make a short reel about the topic. So I take the same idea and I will make a different piece of content. Very important also to know, because we've been talking about reels and TikTok, short form video is not shorter video. Your 20-minute YouTube video, if you crop out 30 seconds of it, it's not going to work on TikTok. So there is something to having a little bit of story that's happening, because a lot of people are like, well, I'm doing these 30-second videos and I'm just like cropping out 30 seconds of my YouTube, and like it doesn't work that way. So don't do all the things. And first I would say, what do you like the best?
I'm happy you said that about YouTube, because that's what we're about doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're so sick of generating content. I'm like, here's all these old YouTube videos, chop it up, I don't care, go.
Yeah, and so as long as you have someone doing that and they're picking different,
Like make it like
Clips?
look cool, I guess.
not necessarily looking cool, but a storyline. So for me, when I present and I'm doing like a keynote, I have someone videoing me, and my expectation is that they're going to pick out a couple of highlights, but they go together. So like I start talking about this topic, and then they clip out this topic, and maybe they were all in different order, but when they put it together, it makes sense, and it kind of tells a little bit of the storyline, versus they just took 30 seconds of one point of me talking and then clipped it up. Now sometimes I get lucky and I say things that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I said that, and that was really good, and I'm just going to use that clip.
Yeah.
So you just have to go into the mindset of, it's not enough just to cut one tiny piece. If we take a couple pieces and we edit it in, then that's good. So that sounds like you've got somebody that can do that for you.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
YouTube is great because you'll post a video from 10 years ago and people will still, they will still see it. And I have a friend, and he would not feel bad about me saying this. He has a horrible video on YouTube, and he doesn't even talk in it. And he's like, this is a horrible video. It was like 10 years ago. Now he's like amazing and loves video. And I'm like, it's not great. It's not great. He goes, but I still go to call every week.
Yeah.
I still go to call every week. And I don't even talk in the video. It's like through like a new home community.
Yeah.
It's the #1 ranked video for Reno new homes for Toll Brothers.
It's cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, we'll just start here and we'll go that way.
Okay, perfect. In regards to hashtags, there's just so
Yes.
much talk about that. In the beginning, it was like, use as many as you can,
Yes.
13 above. Then it was like, only use 3 to 5.
Yes.
And then I've had some videos where I've used no hashtags,
Yes.
and I'll get like 400 likes and
Yes.
like so many views. So when I'm posting a video now and being strategic about things, I'm like, okay, which way do I go? Is it going to get enough views? I'm going to use the same consistency or formula that I
Yeah.
use, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's why I tell people this is kind of freeing, because just post it all, because the algorithm is the one, like you said, sometimes I don't post any hashtags and it still does its job.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking at what you're saying and what your topic is about, which is great, because we want it to work smarter, not harder. So for hashtags, I am again dating myself, but maybe this will be a helpful illustration. Anyone remember going to the library back in the old days where there was no computers and you had to go to the card catalog?
Sure.
The Dewey Decimal System.
Yeah.
And you pull like the super long
Yeah.
thing, like I don't even know where they made those. And you're like flipping through the recipe cards, right? And you would find the card and it would tell you, here's the book, go down this aisle, like halfway down the thing and you'll find the book, right? So that little card is like a hashtag. It helped me find the book I was looking for. What it doesn't do is help the author become a bestseller. It doesn't ensure that more people will necessarily check that book out. They are going to be able to find it, which is great, but then when I get to the book, I gotta like it, you know? So the same thing with hashtags. Hashtags help people find your content based on the topic that they might be looking for or they might be interested in. So very, very important to make sure that your hashtags are very relevant to what your content is about. Scottsdale related hashtags, and I just keep saying Scottsdale, but whatever city you're in, right? Real estate related hashtags, etc. And you know, who should see it? Like for me, I use hashtag mompreneur. It describes what I do, and I'm also looking for other mompreneurs, right? So it's not necessarily a magic number or formula, because if there was one, I'd be selling it already. I would be doing it all, and I'd be retired. But it's just they're useful. But to your point, these things are getting so much smarter that those people that really only relied on hashtags and killed themselves doing hours of research in a spreadsheet, like me, they're going to find that it doesn't really matter anymore. So be conscientious of them. Make sure it's very relevant to what you want to be found for. And just know that even though it might bring more people to your content, it doesn't mean they will convert, because they still have to like the content. They still have to like the book, right? So, you know, Instagram has said less might be more. You can use up to 30. I mean, probably because I don't know, superstitious. I still use probably 15 or so. But just because I use 15 one day and 23 the next day doesn't mean that oh, that one that I used 23 is gonna go. I mean, it's kind of just random now. Like that's why I say just post it, because again, you'll make one video and you're like, wow, that didn't really perform like I wanted it to, and then you make another one and you're like, wow, look at that. Yeah.
The other thing, and real quick to add to that, is also, you know, to make life easier for myself, I would put it on my notes, like my hashtags, I would
Yeah.
copy and paste
Yeah.
and make things quicker.
Yeah.
And I heard that that's not good to do because then the algorithm thinks you're like a robot and like it just doesn't. And I noticed it wasn't shooting my content out. Once I changed that, it like.
Yeah, so I think of it like most of my hashtags are in the same genre, because my topics are the same genre. Now, I change it up a little bit because I change up what I'm talking about in the post. So that's not, you won't actually get punished if you use the same hashtags over and over again. But generally when you think about what's in my post, okay, what's it about? Okay, it could be about real estate, but maybe it's about a small business you're highlighting or something. So you might use some small business related hashtags. And also some hashtags that you're used to using for real estate and all that. So not every time do I change it, but sometimes it does naturally because I want to have very relevant words that describe whatever it is that I'm talking about. If I'm doing a more of a family type of post, I'm not going to use a whole bunch of real estate related hashtags. I might use hashtag real estate mom because that's real estate and mom, and that's, you know, encompasses family. So they probably should change a little bit, not drastically, but you're not going to get dinged by Instagram if you're using the same hashtags.
Oh, thank you.
I saw hands, yes.
On the topic of virality,
Yes.
are you familiar with Jonah Berger's Contagious book?
I haven't read it.
It's very good.
Yes, but I know of
So,
it.
He talks about your content either, I recommend it for anybody, but your content has to either carry some like social currency, or it has to tell a story, or it has to, what else? Have practical value, something like that. How much of in Instagram 2022, how much of virality is truly the content and the trending audio and the time that you post and the
I love this
hook
question.
and the,
I
you know,
love it.
what
I
is-
love it. First of all, I've gone viral and I hated it. I don't like, because I mean, listen, like viral's doesn't mean I get a million more clients. It opens me up for a lot of other people to share whatever they want to share. And going viral is really hard to do on purpose. So that's why those companies are getting paid millions of dollars to do that. So while there are best practices, to your point, specifically on Instagram, I hate the fact that they're like, hey, we want original content. Okay, well, why do you keep showing me people doing the same trend over and over and over and over and over again? And they've got all these views. And every time I post a video with a trending song, it gets more numbers, okay? Views don't equal value. But I have made a decision that I am not going to use music in most of my videos because ultimately I know that people who are seeking that content will consume it and it will be helpful for them. So my goal isn't to go viral. My goal is probably to avoid going viral personally. But yeah, there are little tricks of the trade. Like you can use a trending song, but again, like the other thing is, okay, if I come to your profile and you're gonna help me sell my luxury property and you have no videos with your voice in it, I don't know who you are, I don't know what you stand for, but you're doing all these trends, then what kind of context does that give me? A trend isn't context. Not saying not to do trends. I still have fun with trends. But I will tell you too that a lot of those audios are getting pulled for copyright issues. So now you've got a video that maybe you were talking in, but you had music in the background, and now there's nothing. It's silent. So I think the best thing is to like learn the foundations. Just get on there, record yourself, and answer questions that you get. I know it sounds boring, but like every single time I post something that somebody has asked me, like people are like, oh, this was really helpful. And I'm like, well, I almost didn't post it because I thought it was really boring. So yeah, just talk, answer questions, and I think that's the best way to do it because at some point those trends are gonna fall away. We get tired of them, right? It's just new right now.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thanks, Chelsea.
Yeah.
Ready to go
And if you guys have to go, but don't let me stop you. Don't let me stop you.
If you didn't sign in.
Oh, yeah, sign in somewhere.
We did record this, I think, so
Yeah.
obviously Chelsea covered a lot of information, so it's nice to have, you know, a recap as you're drinking your Saturday morning coffee.
I'm sorry,
Oh, okay, apologies. Oh, really?
I didn't know why.
Weird.
I'm sure, by the way, and Lori talked to